The AI podcast brings you new and innovative insights from AI and machine learning researchers and developers. The podcast is brought to you by your co-hosts, Arijit and Christian. Welcome to this very first episode of the AI podcast, where we will introduce ourselves and talk about why we created the podcast in the first place. We like to start every session with an II fact. So I'm going to hand over to my co-host, Arijit, who will start off with our very first II fact.
Thanks, Christian. Though IIs look like bats and have excellent night vision, they are in fact lemurs.
There you go. Now you're intrigued, aren't you? You thought it was something about pirates. You're wrong. And we do have a public safety announcement. Before you Google IIs, make sure you're sitting down. They are very, very ugly.
Yeah, brace yourselves.
Yeah, brace yourselves.
They look nothing like our podcast icon. Let me put it that way.
This is true. Yeah, and they don't look like King Julian either. So before we go any further into this, we should introduce who we are. So we are your hosts of the AI podcast. Arijit, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi there. I'm Arijit. I'm a part-time maths geek, full-time coffee addict, and occasionally an expert at philosophical explanations of neural networks. By day, I'm an AI and data science specialist working in financial services. By night, I'm usually lost in the depths of research papers or coding network architectures no one will probably ever use. But here, it's all about learning, exploring, and unlocking new potentials together. Christian, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Christian. I guess I'm the complement to Arijit. Arijit is the technical guy. He really understands, data science properly. I vaguely do. That's not well enough. But I'm a product guy. I'm on the business side. I'm interested in the application of AI. I'm interested in how it works, how to build an AI capability in the business. I wrote a fun white paper about that. That's me. So I think together, we've got a kind of a balanced approach here. We should be able to, really make AI come alive across a wide spectrum. As this is our first podcast, what we wanted to get into is to explain to you guys what is the AI podcast about. So, Arijit, do you want to start off and kind of help introduce people to what our vision is?
Sure. From my perspective, as part of my day-to-day job, it's a fast evolving space. You really can't read textbooks in there. They can only take you so far. So you really need to look at the current research that's happening in the industry. A very good way that most people do it is looking at the papers, the research papers that are coming out. But they are coming out at a breakneck speed. There's like more than 100 papers being published every single day. So again, keeping up with that pace is difficult. And at the end of the day, a paper is a one-way communication. Where the researcher has put something down on paper, you really can't ask questions. You really can't get behind the written word. You really can't understand sometimes if the researcher has not covered how to implement it, its relevance to the industry. You really can't ask those questions. So for me, AI gives us an opportunity to do that with the researchers in person, figuring out how to make best use of what the research topic is.
I think as well, it's a service to those researchers. We're only going to pick researchers we like. We're only going to pick papers which we think are bringing new information, new insights. There's all of those regurgitation papers which are just copycats of other ones. Not interested. Right? You're never going to hear those here because we don't want to waste our time. But for the ones who are doing something cool, something interesting, these are the people we want to hear from. Those researchers deserve to have a little bit of PR thrown their way, and we're very happy to help in that way. You can tell I'm the business guy here already. But it's true. It's tough. The world needs to hear about it. We're very happy to be that kind of conduit to help highlight some of that stuff. For me as well, it's that journey of, being on the business side. As Arijit said, there's over 100 papers a day. No business people can keep up with that stuff. It's just way too much. So you hear about the massive stuff. You hear about, what's OpenAI done this week. Yeah, great. But that's like application layer. It's so advanced. Hearing about trying to keep track of the zeitgeist of what's really happening, in research. Where are researchers focusing at the moment? What kind of things are going to be coming down the pipe? Where do you want to spend your research dollars most effectively, et cetera, et cetera? This is the kind of stuff that I want to bring out of this. And I think together, we should have a really great conversations with our guests as we bring them in. Talking of guests, RJ, do you want to talk about format, about kind of how this is going
Yeah,
to work?
sure. So what we want to do is beyond discussing the paper, the research paper, or the implementation, if you're a guest on the show who's a developer, we want to do some lightning round question and answers. And these are to interrogate some, everyone loves writing lightning round questions answer, but just to figure out the way of thinking, opinions, so on and so forth. Today we haven't got guests, so we are going to test it out on ourselves. So Christian, first questions for you. Question is, can transformers get us to artificial general intelligence?
Great question. And it's a biggie, isn't it? The transformer technology is transformational. Really, really, exciting. It's done something massive, and it continues to amaze us. Google would probably reluctantly admit that they didn't understand what they'd done, and that's cool. Is it going to get us all the way to AGI? The zeitgeist that I hear is probably no. I think we need something more. People talk about stochastic parrots and things like that, as a kind of criticism of AGI, and that's a fair criticism. Not of AGI, sorry, of transformer technology. And when you think of AGI, you're not talking about a stochastic parrot. It's something else. But, can we, through, multiple agents, etc., get to something which is there? I am not the person to be able to answer that. But our guests will be. So, we'll ask this question again of people much more qualified than me. Okay, it's supposed to be a lightning round. I need to answer these faster. I'm going to ask you one now. So should we keep training larger foundation LLMs?
I'll go on a limb and say no. It's something that is right now providing diminishing returns. If there is no new architecture that's being used, like multimodality or something else novel about it, probably it's not a great thing for the environment to train another larger foundational model. However, that will not stop the venture capitalists and others backing up, provided there's a business case or even just the buzz around creating a new foundational model. It is very diminishing returns right now.
I know this is lightning round, but it's a question that I don't know the answer to, and it always bothers me. There's these epic models which are, highly performative and, seriously impressive. And, they're retraining them to make them better. I get that. But then if you kind of, you look on the league tables, there are hundreds of foundation models out there. That just seems to be inefficient. I'm not the expert, but it just seems like there's way too many. It feels like that's too much. Hey, your turn to ask me a question.
Yeah. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for AI and ML?
This is a great question. I'm really looking forward to hearing how our guests answer it. For me, I think while ML is a mature technology and is well understood, I think the opportunities for that are quite clear. Gen AI is the new space. That's where the real activity is. There's a lot of hype, a lot of naivety in the space. However, for me, and I've got a background in process engineering, so I'm biased, I guess, but I see this as another technology, another kind of step in the maturity towards computer automation, the technology being able to automate tasks. There are previous technologies like workflow automation and all sorts of things, which were kind of steps on this path. Gen AI is on track to be able to automate tasks which previously were too challenging, complex, or expensive to be able to automate. I think that's going to dive into the world of work and change a lot of what we're doing. So yeah, that's the biggest opportunity. Another question I think is a really interesting one, and one I'm really looking forward to asking lots of people about. And I'm going to ask you just to kick it off. In the world of AI, to keep up, who is worth following?
So there's, as you said, there's loads of people worth following in this particular field. I would start off with a very safe, stable one for Joshua Bengio. I'm very eager to find out more people whom I can follow as well, and our audience can follow as well.
Cool. So that kind of takes us to the end of like the meat and potatoes of our podcast. And so just want to finish up here. We love hosting this podcast. We are, I'm hoping it's coming across. We are super excited about doing this podcast. We love the subject matter. Very much excited to be interviewing people. So hopefully if you're excited about it like we are and you've loved it too, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. and tell your friends about it too. Obviously, the more people know about it, the more we can do. Where else are they going to learn about the world's ugliest lemur? And maybe some things about AI as well.
Thanks for listening, and join us next time on the IIAI podcast.